My fruits, I am delighted to see you on this victorious occasion, this happy and glorious day. In the last video we said pink and green should never be seen, but oh my, what a delight to see our Catherine in pink and our Queen in green. What a gorgeous, gorgeous combo, and of course, lovely Camilla in white. Such a stunning scene, and victory! Victory, my dears! No harkles! No harkles! And you know what? I fancy throwing them a hug and giving them a great big old kiss. What the hell? Thank God! Do you realise how absolutely vitriolic I would have been and in despair if they'd shown up on that balcony? Not a chance, my dear. I haven't had a whisper of them and their clan. Stay away, stay out of proceedings. Certainly ain't royal anymore. But you know what? In fact, I'm taking a leaf out of Her Majesty's book today. I will lean into the Christian tenets of compassion, forgiveness and understanding. Well, you know, for a day at least, my dears, and offer them a consolatory hug. My dears, so sorry, my dears, you second row Sussexes, but the winners take it all, and the winners are the Cambridge clan and the royal family, the true royals. Why did you even bother coming over, my dears? Oh, we all know, don't we? More material for the memoir, which is still to follow, unfortunately. But as for today, this is a time and place for true royalty, true class, true dignity, and true honour. So even though I told you my preference was for the Queen and the 3 future kings, I am more than happy with this arrangement, including their beloved partners and, of course, those adorable little children. The secret is out. After years of speculation, we finally discover the mystery of what's in the Queen's handbag. Yes, marmalade sandwiches. Who would have thunk it? Wasn't that absolutely jolly and absolutely inspired? That beautiful vignette we saw of Her Majesty with Paddington Bear. And especially timely because it was only last week or the week before, wasn't it, when she opened the Elizabeth line at Paddington Station, who that lovable bear from Peru was named for. So what a beautiful thing that was, and very much inspired by the success of her vignette with James Bond 10 years ago. So they followed on with that success, with that quintessential spattering of Englishness, a tea or a cream tea, gentle conversation at Buckingham Palace with the bear. And you know the great surprise, well, it wasn't a surprise because we all know, and it's been said that the Queen is absolutely consummate actress, and we really saw it there. But even I was taken aback, you know, as a critic of these kind of things, how natural she was and in her element with real, genuine acting. I know it was only a short little vignette, but her responses, her reactions, you know, acting is reacting. And she wasn't even doing it with a human. She might have had someone standing in for the little bear, technology-wise, but her reactions were so genuine. She got into it, didn't she, my dears? It was plum. It was absolutely plum, and I absolutely loved it. And to me, to be honest, that was the highlight of the entire thing. I mean, it was a great show, but once that was done, once that was played before the party in the palace began, I mean, that was it. Upstaged, my dear, you know, who needs Diana Ross, you know, bless her, when you've got the Queen making such a wonderful cameo, but really impressed with that. And yes, once again, I found myself with a lump in my throat and tears springing to my eyes because of it. Terrible. And of course, we saw her tapping on the teacup to the rhythm of We Will Rock You, which was the opening song at Palace, the party in the palace. That was inspired as well, and it was a really great opening with Queen. Of course, it's never going to be the same without that other Queen, Freddie Mercury. I'm not a huge fan of Adam Lambert or anything, but I think he did a pretty good job of opening the show. Although I was disappointed that they seemed to slow down the tempo of some of those great hits, such as Don't Stop Me Now, which is my favourite Queen song, I would say. The tempo was slowed down, which annoyed me because it didn't rev up the crowd as much as it could have done. But never mind. I'm not going to go through the entire show and do a whole review with you because, to be quite honest with you, I don't have that kind of time in my life to watch something like Party at the Palace. I've been all over the place and I am quite fatigued. I wasn't actually going to record today, but I know that some of you gorgeous fruits wanted me to pop in during this weekend as much as I could, so I'm making the time to do that. But forgive me if I'm not quite as prepared. I've been all over the place, and for this sort of 10 days surrounding the Jubilee, I am in social demand, my dear. And for someone who is an introvert at heart but enjoys the odd extrovert moment, it can be a little fatiguing to me. But these 10 days or so of jubilations are taking me all over the shop. Obviously all around London, but also Norfolk, Bewley in Hampshire, New Forest area, and gorgeous Winchester, towards Gloucestershire, and a couple of other undisclosed places. But it's really, really good fun, but tiring. The concert got really glowing reviews. Most people were very, very happy with it. I was particularly impressed by the genuine sense of innovation and the flawless choreography of it. It was seamless. You know, so much could go wrong. There was so much in their hands. These poor producers that had to put this spectacular together. But I think they did very, very well with that. And you're never going to be able to please everybody. What I would say with the acts that were playing, I would say there was a mixture of the sort of young and the old, but not so much in between. Some of those in-betweeners I feel were missing. It was noted that Adele didn't play. I would imagine she would have been invited, so perhaps she didn't accept some of that middle ground. But in the main, there was a nice variety. I was in total awe of that display of the drones, the light show in the sky. I've never seen such a thing. So that was absolutely astonishing when the corgis were there. You know, that they were made up of 400 drones sent up from the garden at Buckingham Palace, the back garden. Absolutely spectacular. Apparently there were invisible geo-fences around all of these 400 drones, so that if one of them went astray, they hit this invisible wall and fell to the garden, so there were no safety concerns. And they had to rehearse this completely off-grid in a secret location. It was the first time that they actually did it from Buckingham Palace Garden, so that it was a complete secret. It blew my mind. The one act I was looking forward to was Diana Ross, and I will admit I was disappointed with her performance. Firstly, I was disappointed with her costume. This is Diana Ross. She rarely gets it wrong, but I didn't like the monochrome. When I think of Diana Ross, I want red, a confection of red or gold, something bright. I didn't like the monochrome, particularly as it split up the gown. The hair looked fabulous, she looked wonderful. You know, she's approaching 80 years old. She gave a wonderful performance for any age, but particularly for the age she's at. So I get that, but I didn't like the costume. I didn't like her choice of set list. Chain Reaction is a fabulous song, but I think she's got better stuff in her back catalogue, or more appropriate, I should say. The second song she sang I'd never heard of before. It was very relevant because it was a thank you to the Queen, I get that, but nobody knew it. Thankfully, of course, she came across with Ain't No Mountain High Enough, which was better, and that got everyone roused and was more Miss Ross. I did notice she had some troubles with her microphone at the beginning. Apparently she couldn't find the correct note, but for the audience at home they were able to play over the top a pre-recorded version, so people just thought that her microphone was quiet and she wasn't singing loudly enough. But it's because they'd turned off the live feed until she found her right note, and she was twiddling with her microphone. She must have been very nervous, but she knew something was wrong, but being the professional that she is, she managed to somehow work through those technical hitches and get back on track. But all in all, really splendid. I was very impressed with Big Willie and the speech he gave. I actually preferred his to Charles, which was a bit hackneyed. But William spoke beautifully. He's taken my advice that I offered almost a year ago to slow down a bit. Not even slow down, but he has this sort of Etonian way of getting a little bit ahead of himself when he speaks to large crowds, and he was so confident. That's what I love to see him. He's really matured into that role and totally accepted it without reluctance and embarrassment now. He is taking his cues from the Queen. He's heard what the world has to say about her reign and how she has accepted her destiny with aplomb, and I really do believe that he is taking inspiration from that and going forward into his role as future monarch without shame, embarrassment, and with a sense of purpose, and that he's going to do his job and his duty, and, you know, fuck the rest of the world, whatever you think. Charles's speech was fine. It was fine, fine, fine. Lots of people found it moving. But I think because I'm so familiar with the Diamond Jubilee, with that speech to the Queen, I mean, it was almost word for word the same. How many times are we going to hear him address the Queen as mummy? It's like, you've done that. He lacks a little bit of spontaneity, and also he has the opposite problem that William had. He can take things down too slow. Catherine looked lovely in white, and everybody's been charmed and beguiled by the photographs of the children. We got to see them enjoying a little sing-song and waving their flags. And Kate's mum and dad were in the audience too, Carol and Mike. Rod Stewart said it was the BBC that made him sing Sweet Caroline, which isn't even a Rod Stewart song. I thought that was rather strange, and I didn't enjoy it. He's running out of puff, isn't he, Mr. Stewart? But, you know, we do love him. But I would have preferred to have seen him do You Think I'm Sexy? Our serene Lady Lulu, stunned in a platinum coat and a waterfall cascade of abundant flaxen curls. And James Viscount Severn's coming along. There are reports that a party was held for Lilibet in the grounds of Frogmore Cottage yesterday in the garden with second cousins. The Cambridge cousins were busy with parents in Cardiff and all over the place doing various biddings on behalf of the Queen, but some of the more secondary cousins are said to have attended this do. There was cake, balloons, party games and picnic snacks, and it's believed that Archie's godfather, Charlie Bonstrabenzi, was there along with his brother Tom, who's the godfather to little Lottie. There's also whispers that while the Queen was at home watching this party in the palace on the telly, she was joined by the Sussexes. Wouldn't that be so like them, ingratiating hustlers? Wouldn't it be so like them to say, "Oh, we hear you're alone, we'll sit with you, Granny," or if you don't want to go to the party, we'll keep you company. Isn't that just like them? I don't like the thought of that. To be honest with you, I thought it would have been rather funny if the Queen just went to bed, because I'm sure she doesn't really want to sit through this kaleidoscope of pop stars, my dear. She's got better things to do. She can read the Racing Post and have a cup of tea. So I was rather hoping she'd had an early night and thought, get on with it, whatever. But whispers are that the Harkles paid her a visit, so I don't know. That would make an interesting Gogglebox episode, wouldn't it? The Cambridges began yesterday in another country, beautiful Wales. They were at Cardiff Castle to meet with performers and crew for celebrations in the castle grounds later that day. And just as Eugenie had given us that shock of orange at St. Paul's, Catherine robed herself in orange for this occasion, albeit a slightly more pleasant shade of orange in my opinion. And she wore a high ponytail, love her in that updo there, and the dress was so sleek and simple, wasn't it? Beautifully cut with a blue lining. Little Georgie Porgy was like a mini-me, wasn't he, of Big Willie in their sort of matching ensemble there, which was very sweet. And little Lottie, as well as reminding people of the Queen, she's got a lot of Anne in her, I see too. But it's easy to see everybody in the faces of little bairns, isn't it, when they're coming up there. It seems to change with each expression, but she has some of Anne there, I think, too, as a loving, supportive sister to a future monarch. And we saw her with a little flower. She was brandishing it, offering it to little George at one point. It was a little spring crocus, which was very sweet, and they seemed to be having a really good giggle. We saw her conducting an orchestra at one point, which she was really getting into with gusto. I think these kids are naturally rather shy when it comes to public events, but slowly they're being nurtured and encouraged out of their shell. And isn't it darling to see the way that Big Willie and Catherine are with their kids? Affectionate, very protective and reassuring, wanting to make sure that their introduction to this harsh world where life ain't gonna be easy. Let's face it, it's not easy for the best of us, but especially on the public stage for those of the royal bent, and they're trying to make sure that the pathways are smooth as possible for them. But the children's confidence is growing. We saw much gaiety, much moments of laughter. Those peals of royal laughter echoed throughout the castle. There are 85,000 big lunches taking place on the Sunday while the pageant's going on. 85,000 of them, and 16,000 street parties. Can you imagine that? Isn't it nice to know that everybody's getting into the spirit? We also saw Charles and Camilla attending one. Camilla wore green, and there was a scrumptious feast to be had, sugary sweet, and they raised a toast to Her Majesty. The royal family shared this poignant picture from the Royal Collection Trust, a street party during the coronation in 1953. And wouldn't you love to just hop into a little time machine and go back just for a day to that wonderful time of national pride and nostalgia? And we are getting some wonderful glimpses of that spirit and that feeling this weekend, which is very reassuring. But oh, I would love to go back just for a day to 1953 and take a little seat at that table, wouldn't you, and join in the jubilations. Looks so cosy. All of the senior royals wished Lilibet II a happy birthday on their social media on the Saturday. What has been blissful has been the lack of sightings of the Harkles so far. Of course, there was a lot of media about them after the St. Paul's do, but not that much of it has been very complimentary. Much of the press seems to be noting how they're there, but not quite there. You know, very much demoted, very much in the background. You know, the second row Sussexes, they're being called. You know, it's very obvious and apparent to all of us that while their intention, the royal family's intention is to always love them as family members and welcome them in that capacity and to pay them due respect as an existing prince, and they are both still HRHs even though they are not publicly styled that way, and they will continue to bestow them with the respects that deserves, even if they don't deserve that kind of respect for what they did to their family. Royalty transcends, and the Queen goes beyond that kind of pettiness, as well as the fact that she loves her grandson. So they will always pay some respect, some nods to respect for their station. But it's been very satisfying to see that in many ways they're out of view, out of the limelight, and it's showing the world that no matter what they claimed, what they said with all their ridiculous accusations, they're the ones that have felt the need to return and make nice in whatever way they can and cozy up to the Queen. And they certainly weren't forced into it, they certainly weren't encouraged into it, and they certainly weren't told, well, we'll give you a wonderful platform here to generate publicity for yourself. No, none of that, my dear. It was basically, well, come if you want, but you'll be in the wings, my dear. But the Cambridges are doing a marvellous job of distancing themselves from those in-laws. They don't want to be photographed near them. They don't want to be in the same eye line as them, exchanging all these glances with press pouring over. No, they are the stars of the show. And this weekend they have totally reclaimed that mantle, if there was any doubt, if there was any division in who's the star, who's not. They've brought the world's attention to them. Look how the press are getting excited and devoting many column inches after column inches to little Georgie Porgy and little Lottie, and in headlines people are beginning to be beguiled and enchanted by them. They capture the imagination. This is the thing, we have a new generation coming up, and I'm afraid that the Harkles, who may be very, very capable of generating a lot of publicity, I'm afraid that a lot of that publicity they generate is now putting a glory of spotlights onto the Cambridges rather than detracting from them. And what we see in the mysterious twists and turns of the ways of the royal family and the way that they handled all the fallout from the Oprah interview and everything like that, what we now see in a rather bizarre, twisted way is that even though all the bad publicity of that drama, you know, as time goes by and as time reveals who the Harkles are, some, if not most of that bad publicity is now turning, and focusing warmth and love and respect back onto the Cambridges and the royal family, because the Harkles had their little moment of authenticity in the sun when everybody rallied to tell them how wonderful they were and how wicked the royals were. Well, the royals had the patience and the wisdom to wait and let time expose what it needed to expose, and now we are seeing a different story emerge. The Harkles thought that they were so invaluable to the royal family, to Charles and William. They became so convinced and so arrogant on that tour of Australia that everything revolved around them and the whole future of the monarchy rested on their shoulders. They expected their father and brother to beg them to return. We're lost without you, my dears. We're fading, we're falling. Well, they've had a very rude awakening, haven't they? A very rude awakening. That didn't happen. No one cared about your idle threats when you had your tantrum and threatened to orphan leave, they said, okay, go. We'd rather have you here, but okay, go. That's fine. Do what you want to do. So they thought, we'll show you, we'll be richer and grander and more fantastic and more beloved than you. And how's that going? And I believe that Harry still pines for his mother country. I really do. And he gave that game away when he was interviewed by Hoda Kotb. And he said, well, this is, I love Montecito. This is home for now. For now. So was the plan always to return, raise the kids abroad and then return? Or, but he's finding that he's the one that's going to have to beg and ask if he wants to return. But Meghan would never want to return to the kingdom. She's quite happy near Hollywood. So he's stuck there, isn't he, my dear? Stuck there with that pale skin and red hair that fries under the hot heat of the Montecito sun. It can't be comfortable for him in that environment of perspiration. He moved himself from one prison to another, and in this prison he's got to fund all of his security guards while he's there himself, which can't be much fun. Sadly, we still have to face the imminent publication of his memoir or collection of volumes of memoirs coming up, so we still have those hurdles to overcome because they'll still be popping up for attention. Meghan's hairdresser George Northwood got to meet Archie and Lili on Friday. I don't know if she's hired him for the weekend. We know that she flew over her makeup artist, Daniel, for proceedings. Why she needs this whole entourage just for a few glimpses of her face, it's entirely beyond me. It's just not necessary, is it? Does she really need to hire someone to put her hair up in a bun as well while she's wearing a hat? I mean, I can understand it for Katie Cambridge. She has very elaborate styles that she's worn over the weekend, and also she's the future queen. She should have whoever she wants. Meghan is a resting actress. Why does she need a hairdresser? Put it in a bun and put on a hat. Done, my dears. But anyway, he may have been attending just as a friend at Lilibet's birthday party, but he said, so nostalgic and wonderful to be reunited with Harry, Meghan and their family in the UK. Archie's grown to be the cutest, well-mannered little boy, and Lilibet is just beautiful. When I criticised Meghan's dress at St. Paul's, some of you asked me to clarify what was so wrong with it. And on second look, I can see, this is Dior that she wore. It's probably the most expensive outfit in the entire congregation. Well, I think it was just the fact that I didn't really like it on her. I don't think that it especially enhanced her figure, and I'm not one for big collars anyway, so that's not really her fault, but I felt like it was like this bauble on top was about to be swallowed by a gigantic collar, and the hat, together with her lack of much of a neck, sort of contracted those proportions a little bit too much. But of course I can see the beautiful design of it, and I rather liked the gloves. I mean, she's no longer considered royal, so why she felt the need to wear gloves I don't understand, but I will say that they looked rather nice, the gloves. Thanks for dropping in, my fruits. Lovely to see you. I hope you enjoyed the pageant. Let me know what you thought of my new signature jacket. I gave you a glimpse of it the other day, didn't I? This jackety blazer thing, my Alexander McQueen number, which I bought especially for the show. I wanted a signature jacket, so you can let me know if you liked it. And I will continue to dress up for you, but on weeks like this when I'm all over the place, and I'm afraid the last thing I've got time to do is go to the charity shops to dig out more stuff for you. It will be nice to fall back on a regular piece for you to see me in. So yes, I rather enjoyed wearing it. I hope you like it, and thank you for your company, and best wishes to all of you. I hope you've enjoyed and are enjoying this platinum weekend celebrating the Queen's life. It's been very nice. Things have been going very well so far. Love to you all. My tip jar's in the description below if you'd like to treat me to a platinum pastry. I've got a cheek, haven't I? Well, you don't ask, you don't get, so there we go. Thanks to you, and thanks to Her Majesty for 70 years of unrivalled service to our nation. God save the Queen.